Tapakathamritam tapta jivanam Kavibiriritam kalmasapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatam Bhuvigrinanti ye Buridayanaha. The nectar of the words is the life for those who are scourged by the world. The words which have been uttered by the knowers of truth, which wipe out sins, the very hearing of which is beneficial, which are beautiful, pleasing to the ears, pleasing to the hearts, which are inexhaustible. Those who recount them on the earth are the givers of plenty. Talks with Swami Vivekananda, recorded by Sharachandra Chakraborty, a disciple of Swamiji. Organization. People do not like organized religion anymore. Why? Too much politics, commercialism, power struggle. Every organization has some problems. No organization is perfect. Swami Vivekananda came to America and I saw how Western people are expert to organize a thing. You see, Vedanta is never an organized religion. It is a religion of the mendicants, monks. They are moving around. Swamiji was very much impressed. After the Parliament of Religion, Swamiji was the guest of Mr. Lyons. And one day, during breakfast table, Swamiji told Mrs. Lyons, I fell in love with one thing in this country. So Mrs. Lyons teased him, who is she, Swami? It is not any woman, madam, it is your organization. You people are wonderful to organize things. In India, we do not have this power of organization. So a dilemma came in Vivekananda's mind in 1895 at Thousand Island Park. Shall I organize or not? If I organize, the spirit will diminish. And if I do not organize, message will not spread. One man show. No, it will not work. So he decided to organize and put all safeguards to protect the organization. So he returned after 3 years in the West, almost 3.5 years. He came to Calcutta and invited all the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna and householder disciples, and it was 1st May 1897 at Balaram's house in North Calcutta. Maybe 40, 50 people are there. He gave a pep talk that we are going to form an organization. And this organization will carry Sri Ramakrishna's message, universal message. When the meeting had broken up, but you see, that we did last time we read, the Swamiji said, the conviction has grown in my mind after all my travels in various lands that no great cause can succeed without an organization. Let this association be named after him, in whose name, indeed, we have embraced the monastic life, with whom, as your ideal in life, you all told toil on the field of work from your stations in family life, within 20 years of whose passing away, a wonderful diffusion of his holy name and extraordinary life has taken place both in the east and the west. We are the servants of the Lord. Be you all helpers in this cause. Then he says the society was named the Ramakrishna Mission. We have a twin organization, Ramakrishna Math, Ramakrishna Mission. Ramakrishna Mission is engaged in philanthropic activities, do good to the people. And Ramakrishna Math is mainly focused in spiritual life, inward journey, practicing rituals, austerities, studying scriptures, daily puja. He says the two goals: your own liberation and doing good to humanity. So when we take vows, we have to take this vow that I am going to embrace this life for my own liberation and for doing good to humanity. So he balanced it. If you try to get your own liberation, you are selfish. And if you do only good to others, forgetting yourself, your ego will be puffed up. I did it. So in this way, he just balanced it. When the meeting had broken up and the members departed, addressing Swami Yogananda, Swamiji said, so the work is now begun this way. Let us see how far it succeeds by the will of Sri Ramakrishna. His great opposition came from two brother disciples, Swami Yogananda. You are doing these things with Western methods. Should you say Sri Ramakrishna left us any such instructions? Vivekananda, Swamiji. Well, how do you know that all this is not on Ramakrishna's lines? He had an infinite breadth of ideas. And dare you shut him up within your own limited views of life? I will break down these limits and just scatter broadcast over the earth his boundless inspiration, ideas. He never instructed me to introduce any rites of his own worship. We have to realize the teachings he has left us about religious practice and devotion, concentration and meditation, and such higher ideas and truths, and then preach this to all men. The infinite number of faiths are only so many paths. I have not been born to found one more sect in a world already teeming with sects. We have been blessed with obtaining refuge at the feet of the Master, and we are born to carry his message to the dwellers of the three worlds. Ramakrishna never said, build hospital, do the philanthropic activities. He told in a different way, but these disciples understood. Sri Ramakrishna said, realize God. That's their job. The goal of human life is to realize God. That's it. You don't have to think about others. Just realize God. This disciple is taking that point. This I learned from Sri Ramakrishna. Swamiji said, you are limiting Sri Ramakrishna. I also wanted the same thing. I went to Sri Ramakrishna and said, I want to be immersed in Samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna scolded me. You are selfish. Fie on you. Shame on you. I thought you will be a huge banyan tree. Under your shade, people will get peace and joy. And like a selfish person, you seek your own liberation. Shame, shame. The thing which you are talking, I wanted that thing from Sri Ramakrishna. He scolded me. Now, I shall, Sri Ramakrishna, the infinite ideas, that infinite ideas I shall spread. Swami Yogananda uttered no word of dissent And so Swamiji continued, time and again have I received in this life marks of his grace, Ramakrishna's grace. He stands behind and gets all this work done by me. When lying helpless under a tree in an agony of hunger, when I had not even a scrap of cloth for coping, when I was resolved and traveling penniless round the world, even then help came in all ways by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna. And again when crowds jostled with one another in the streets of Chicago to have a sight of this Vivekananda, then also, just because I had his grace, I could digest without difficulty all the art honor, 100th part of which would have been enough to turn mad any ordinary man. Because I had his grace, and by his will, victory followed everywhere. Now I must conclude by doing something in this country. So casting all doubt away, please help my work, and you will find everything fulfilled by his will. Swamiji was talking about his personal life, that when he left India, 5 years he traveled and found this poverty, misery, suffering of Indian people. Then he came to America in 1893. He became very famous at the Parliament of Religions. Dharmapal, who was the Buddhist representative, returned to India. In Calcutta, he started Mahabodhi Society. He mentioned about Swami Vivekananda's popularity in America. But only Chicago and main streets, big poster, Swami Vivekananda, the Hindu monk of India. Then he made a remark, do you know what is the secret of his success? First, his language. His English flawless, flowery. He's a great orator. Second, his universal approach. Most of the representatives represented their own faith, and Vivekananda represented all faiths of the world at that parliament. Third, his purity and renunciation, which created a tremendous charisma that overwhelmed people. Well, somebody says, Swamiji, did you show any magic in the parliament? No, from my very birth. Not a bad thoughts, sexual thoughts crossed my mind. So from my birth I am pure. My purity, tangible purity overwhelmed them. You know, purity and renunciation are the two wings of a spiritual soul. Anyhow, that Swamiji was talking about his own life experience. Swami Yogananda, yes, whatever you will shall be fulfilled. And are we not all ever obedient to you? Now and then I do clearly see how Sri Ramakrishna is getting all these things done through you. And yet, to speak plainly, some misgiving rises at intervals. For as we saw it, his way of doing things was different. So I question myself, are you sure that we are not going astray from Sri Ramakrishna's teachings? And so I take the opposing attitude and warn you. But he was an attendant of Sri Ramakrishna. And what I saw and what I see, we are thinking that you are bringing some Western ideas and introducing these Western thoughts in us. That is the reason we are questioning you. But we are always obedient to you. And we see that Sri Ramakrishna is working through you. Swamiji, you see, the fact is that Sri Ramakrishna is not exactly what the ordinary followers have comprehended him to be. He has infinite moods and phases. Even if you might form an idea of the limits of Brahma Jnana, the knowledge of the Absolute, you could not have any idea of the unfathomable depths of his mind. Thousands of Vivekanandas may spring forth through one gracious glance of his eyes. But instead of doing that, he has chosen to get things done this time through me as his instrument. And what I can do in this matter, you see? That is Swamiji's humility. He says, if Sri Ramakrishna ever taught us anything twice, he taught us, Ishwarer iti korte nahi. Do not limit God. You people do not limit him. Infinite is ideas. You only understand this much, I understand this much, everybody understands these little things. Saying this, Swamiji left to attend to something else. Waiting for him, and Swami Yogananda went to praising Swamiji's versatile gifts. This portion has been omitted. They did not translate into English. I shall translate to you. Swami Yogananda was telling Sharachandra Chakraborty, this is the recorder of this book. You see, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, in this age, this Vivekananda is an unique personality who came in this age. Moon cannot be two. Moon is only one. So he is like that. Unique personality, this Vivekananda. Master sometimes used to say, Noren Purush, Tini Prakriti. Noren is the Purusha, the male aspect, and he is the Prakriti, the Shakti aspect. Noren is my father-in-law's house. That is the word Swamiji used to say. Father-in-law's mind means Supreme Brahman. Narendra belongs to a Akhonjar Thag. He came from the indivisible Brahman. Sometimes he says, I saw Narendra immersed in Samadhi with 7 sages. I brought him back to this world to do good to humanity. Narendra is one partial incarnation of those sages. He was the partial incarnation of Rishi, Narayan. Nara Rishi's avatar. He is the incarnation of Rishi, sage Nara. Sometimes Sri Ramakrishna says, he is like Shukadeva. Maya cannot touch him. But Mahamaya is afraid to go near him. He is blazing fire, blazing light. No darkness, no ignorance can go near him. Shishya, disciple Sharad Babu asking, is this true? Yes. Sri Ramakrishna told us, we remember. His every word was true. Never a single untruth came through the lips of Sri Ramakrishna. You see, Naren has the knowledge like the Rishi, knowledge of Brahman. He has renunciation like Shankara. He has heart like Buddha. He is free from Maya like Shukadeva. In him, he attained Nirvikalpa Samadhi. The manifestation of knowledge of Brahman in him all the time. Don't you see? So Sri Ramakrishna talked about him in many times, in many ways. In the meantime, Swamiji returned. This portion, this book, in English book, is not there. Swamiji returned. Meanwhile, Swamiji returned and asked the disciple, do the people in your part of the country know much of Sri Ramakrishna? He is coming from Bangladesh, East Bengal. Disciple, only one man, Nagmahasaya, came to Sri Ramakrishna from our part of Bengal. It is from him that many came to hear of him and had their curiosity excited to know more. But that Sri Ramakrishna was the incarnation of God, the people there have not yet come to know, and some would not believe it, even if told so. Nag Mahasaya, his name is Saint Durga Charan Nag, a household devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, an illumined soul. I went to his house in 1990. It is 10-12 miles from Dhaka, Narayanganj. There's a big ashrama there now. Nag Mahasaya. Swamiji, do you think it is an easy matter to believe so? We, who had actual dealings with him in every respect, we who heard of that fact again and again from his own lips, we who lived and stayed with him for 24 hours of the day, even we have doubts about it coming on us off and on. So what to speak of others? It is hard to believe that a tiny banyan seed can make a huge banyan tree. So it is hard to believe that infinite God comes in a human form. If you read Munjaka Upanishad, there is a mantra, Agni Murdha Chakshisi Chandra Sujau Desha Srotre Bhagvivetasya Veda. That cosmic God, his head is the heaven. His one eye is the sun, another eye is the moon. His breath is the air. His speech are the Vedas. He encompassed the whole universe with his 2 feet. That is the concept of the cosmic God. When you hear it, you get dizzy. The person with one eye is the sun, another eye is the moon. How can you hug that person? How can we love that person? We'll be scared to death. So God come as a human form. We call avatar. Buddha, Christ, Rama, Krishna, Ramakrishna. They are man gods. Avatar at the Shandho. One of our Swamis, I interviewed him in 1982. He said to him, the recorder of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you know, I read Gospel and I read Ramakrishna's books, but I don't feel that Ramakrishna was God. He's a man. Him said, I also felt the same way. Do you know what happened? One day I went to Dakshineshwar, and Master was, after lunch, he was testing. So I was just massaging his feet, and I was seeing Sri Ramakrishna lying down, and I was thinking, he eats, we eat. He sleeps, we sleep. He walks, we walk. He talks, we talk. He's a human being, like us. All of a sudden, Sri Ramakrishna got up. A.M., what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Eke bhavle sha bhabe. If you think of me, you will get everything. If you think of me, you will get everything. If you think of me, you will get everything. He said 3 times. Then, immediately he was talking to himself. Mother, did I say it? Did I say or you said? Did I say or you said? Did I say or you said? And then Sri Ramakrishna went into Samadhi. The aim said, that day I realized that that person is God. You see, if he does not want to reveal himself to you, you will not understand. Sri Ramakrishna's parents, mother, my son, his nephews, my uncle. They think my own people, they do not think that God and this and that, this is not possible. But whom he reveals, only that person only understands. That Upanishad says, Yame Vaisha Brinute Tena Lebhya Tasya Satma Vibrinute Tonum Swam. Whom that God reveals himself out of mercy, out of grace. Only that person can understand God. Disciple, did Sri Ramakrishna out of his own lips ever say that he was God, the all-perfect Brahman? Swamiji, yes, he did so many times. And he said this to all of us. One day, while he was staying at the Kashipur garden, his body is in imminent danger of falling off forever. By the side of his bed, I was saying in my mind, well, now if you can declare that you are God, then only will I believe you are really God himself. It was only 2 days before he passed away. Immediately looked up towards me, all of a sudden, and said, he who was Rama, he who was Krishna, verily is now Ramakrishna in this body, and that not merely from the standpoint of our Vedanta. At this I was struck dumb. Even we have not had yet the perfect faith after hearing it again and again from the holy lips of our Lord himself. Our minds is still disturbed now and then with doubt and despair. And so, what shall we speak of others being slow to believe? Sri Ramakrishna revealed himself. It is said that Sri Ramakrishna said, he who was Rama, Swamiji saw Rama in him. He took the Rama's form. When he said, he who was Krishna, again Swamiji saw that it is Lord Krishna. And then he saw Ramakrishna, emaciated body, suffering from cancer, lying down in bed. When his professor asked that you are such a brilliant man, at last you took discipleship, made Ramakrishna a temple priest, your guru. I was helpless. I saw. He is God. I am not weak-brained person. My brain is very strong. I am physically, mentally, ethically, morally, spiritually, I am strong. I saw it. I cannot disbelieve my eyes. That's Swamiji said. And not merely from the standpoint of Vedanta. Do you know what that means? He meant that from the Vedantic standpoint, an individual person becomes Brahman, not God. Each individual person, each soul is divine. That means you are Brahman, you are Brahman, you are Brahman. But we are not gods. Ramakrishna says, don't think that I am a jiva. I am God. You see, all these human beings are born out of karma. To fulfill your desires, we have taken human birth. Everybody. But Swamiji, but Ramakrishna, he has no purpose to be born. Just out of mercy, out of compassion, to help human beings, he takes human form. Ramakrishna is God, not Jiva. Jiva becomes Brahman. Jiva cannot become God. Because God has no karma. God does not have any ignorance. It is indeed a very difficult matter to be able to declare and believe a man with a body like ours to be God himself. We may just go to the length of declaring him to be a perfected one or a Nwara Brahman. Well, it matters nothing. Whatever you may call him or think of him, a saint or a Nwara Brahman or anything, but take it from me. Never did come to this earth such an all-perfect man as Sri Ramakrishna. In the utter darkness of the world, this great man is like the shining pillar of illumination in this age. And by his light alone will man now cross the ocean of samsara. How Swamiji is bold statement. Before I go further, I started that Ramakrishna mission Swamiji started. First, Swami Yogananda opposed. Then Swami Adbhutananda, another disciple opposed. That I shall read before I go further, because then Ramakrishna mission section will be completed. I had the minute book of the Ramakrishna mission, near maybe 70 sessions, their minute book I have. Perhaps we can make a book out of it. It will be a wonderful book. That is Yogananda's thing. I shall read to you. You will enjoy. On another occasion, after that of the above conversation with Swami Yogananda, that who opposed Swamiji, that you are bringing all Western ideas in us. He was talking in a light mood with some of his brother monks and with some lay disciples of the Master. At such times, he would be full of wit and jokes. Swami Adbhutananda, who was a Latu Maharaj, an illiterate disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, but not a Brahman, was taking him to task for not preaching the ideas of Sri Ramakrishna and just challenging him to prove how his plans could be reconciled with the latter's teachings. Sri Ramakrishna insisted above all on bhakti, devotion, love for God, and on the practice of sadhana for the realization of God, while the Swami, Adbhutananda pointed out, was constantly urging them to go about preaching and serving the poor and the diseased, those things that turn the mind outward, which was a great embodiment of sadhana. Sadhana means spiritual disciplines. Then again, the Swami's idea of starting mosques and homes of service for the public good, his ideas of organization and of patriotism, which are undoubtedly Western in conception, his efforts to create a new type of sannyasi with a broader ideal of renunciation and other ideas similar to in spirit were incompatible with Sri Ramakrishna's ideal of renunciation and would surely have been repudiated by him. The Swami at first took these observations of Swami Adbhutananda lightly and retorted jokingly, saying, "What do you know? You are an ignorant man, illiterate. You are indeed a fit disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, like Guru, like Chela. But Sri Ramakrishna has no school education, you see. And you, fellow, you are unlettered. You are the right disciple of the right Guru. Your education ended with Ka, only alphabet, first alphabet, Ka. The first letter of the alphabet. Like that of Prahlada, Prahlada, he is taken, being reminded by Ka of Krishna, he could not proceed further. The moment Ka, Krishna, bas, he did not read anything more. Immediately, he was thinking of God. You are bhaktas, devotees, in other words, sentimental fools. What do you understand of religion? You are babies. You are only good at praying with folded hands. Oh Lord, how beautiful your nose is, how sweet your eyes are, and such nonsense. And you think your salvation is secured, that Sri Ramakrishna will come at the final hour and take you by the hand to the highest heaven? Study, public preaching, and doing humanitarian works are, according to you, Maya, because Sri Ramakrishna did not do them himself, because he said to someone, seek and find God first. Doing good to the world is presumptuous. And if God realization is such an easy thing to achieve, as if he is such a fool as to make himself a playing in the hands of an imbecile? Swamiji was pounded on him. Swami Adbhutananda later told a devotee, I was stunned to hear all these things, and when some other brother monks tried to say something, taking up the thread of our talk, Vivekananda grew more and more serious and thundered on. The Swami now said, you think you understood Sri Ramakrishna better than myself? You think jnana, knowledge, is dry knowledge, jnana is dry knowledge to be attained by a desert path, killing out the tenderest faculties of the heart? Your bhakti is sentimental nonsense which makes one impotent. You want to preach Ramakrishna as you have understood him, which is mighty little? Hands off. Who cares for your Ramakrishna? Who cares for your bhakti and mukti? Bhakti means devotion, mukti means liberation. Who cares what the scriptures say? I'll go to hell cheerfully 1,000 times if I can rouse my countrymen immersed in tamas, inertia, and make them stand on their own feet and be men, inspired with the spirit of Karma Yoga. I am not a follower of Ramakrishna or anyone. I am a follower of him only who carries out my plans. I am not a servant of Ramakrishna or anyone, but of him only who serves and helps others without caring for his own mukti. In this connection, I shall tell you a story. Ramanuja went to his guru, and guru says, I shall give you initiation. I shall give you a mantra. But this mantra is so powerful. The moment you will, those who will hear this mantra will be liberated. But don't share this mantra to anybody, then you will go to hell. Ramanuja got the mantra. He ran to a public place and called all people, please come. It's a big gathering. Now I shall give you a mantra. Om Namo Narayanaya. That is the mantra. Then Guru heard about it. He called the disciple. I forbade you, and you gave away this mantra to everybody, you will go to hell. The disciple said, you told me those who will hear this mantra will go to heaven. So these thousands of people will go to heaven. So I want to go to hell. I shall go to hell. But you said that those who have heard this mantra will go to heaven. Let them go to heaven. Then do you know what did the Guru do? Guru embraced the disciple and says, you are greater than me. That is Swamiji. Look, the Swami's voice became choked. His frame shook with intense emotion. He could not contain himself any longer. Tears streamed from his eyes. In a flash, he was on his feet and ran from the room of his sleeping bedroom. His brother disciples were seized with fear and repented of their criticism spoken to him in that strain. You see, the disciples knew. Sri Ramakrishna said, when he will know about himself, he will give up his body. He has complete control over his death. A few of them went to his room some minutes later. Entering quietly, they found him sitting in meditation, his body stiff, tears flowing from his half-closed eyes, and body hair standing on end. It seemed to them that he was absorbed in Bhava Samadhi. After nearing an hour, he rose, washed his face, and came out to those waiting in the sitting room. The atmosphere was tense. At length, the Swami broke the silence, saying, when one attains bhakti, one's heart and nerves become so soft and delicate that they cannot bear even the touch of a flower. Do you know that I cannot even read a novel nowadays? I cannot think or talk of Sri Ramakrishna long because being overwhelmed. So I am trying and trying always to keep down the rasa bhakti wailing within me. I am trying to bind and bind myself with the iron chain of jnana, for still my work to my motherland is unfinished, and my message to the world not yet fully delivered. So as soon as I find that bhakti feelings are coming up to sweep me off my feet, I give them a hard knock and make myself adamant by bringing up austere jnana. Oh, I have work to do. I am a slave of Ramakrishna, who left his work to be done by me and will not give me rest till I have finished it. And oh, how shall I speak of him? Oh, his love for me. Swami Yogananda and others, fearing a return of his devotional fervor, asked him whether he would not like an evening stroll on the roof, since it was so warm in the room. They took him up there and diverted his mind with ordinary conversation till it was far into the night, and he was not normal. He was his normal self again. Just, in the connection of that starting Ramakrishna mission, look what Swamiji's condition was. Disciple. To me it seems, sir, that true faith comes only after actually seeing or hearing something. Muthur Babu, I have heard, actually saw so many things about Sri Ramakrishna and thus had the wonderful faith in him. Muthur, the owner of the Dakshineshwar Kali temple, who was and son-in-law of Rani Rashmani, the founder, he saw in Sri Ramakrishna walking one direction, Shiva, another direction, the Divine Mother. And then he came at his feet and said, Master, what I saw. Hey, you get up, you are a rich person, you are the owner of this temple, you fell at my feet. I am the temple priest. Father, I saw. Oh, no, you get up. People will think I have hypnotized you. Then slowly, Muthur tested him. First worshipped him as God, thinking that person does not have an ego. Then he engaged beautiful girls to tempt him. It did not work. Sri Ramakrishna fell at their feet and went into Samadhi. Then he offered tremendous amount of money. He went to hit him with a bamboo. You want to make me a householder? You are giving money? Get out from this place. He does not want money. He does not want any sense enjoyment. He does not want any name and fame. This man is God. That he is talking about. The Motul Major remarked, Father, your inside and outside is only God. Swamiji, he who believes not even after seeing and thinks that it is all hallucination or dream and so on. The great transfiguration of Krishna, the Vishwarupa, universal form, was seen alike by Duryodhana and by Arjuna, but only Arjuna believed, while Duryodhana took it to be magic. Unless he makes us understand, nothing can be stated or understood. Somebody comes to the fullest faith, even without seeing or hearing, while somebody else maintained, plunged in doubt, even after witnessing with his own eyes various extraordinary powers for 12 years. The secret of it all is His grace. But then one must persevere so that the grace may be received. Swamiji was talking, as you remember in the Mahabharata, when Krishna went into the court of Hastinapur. Duryodhana wanted to arrest him. Then he took a cosmic form and bewildered him, confused him. With the same form he took during the battlefield in Kurukshetra, Krishna, Arjuna saw that cosmic form and believed that Krishna is God. Two persons saw the same thing, one believed in God, one did not believe in God. Grace. Disciple, is there, sir, any law of grace? Swamiji, yes and no. Disciple, how is that? Swamiji, this sentence I like it very much. When people talk about grace, 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 grace dawns to whom? Look, these are the conditions of grace. Those who are pure always in body, mind and speech, first condition. Who have a strong devotion, second. Who discriminate between the real and unreal, third. Who persevere in meditation and contemplation, fourth. Upon them alone the grace of the Lord descends. Grace, we are seeking grace, grace. You will have to be a recipient of that grace. You will have to fulfill these conditions. The Lord, however, is beyond all natural laws, is not under any rules and regulations, or just as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, he has the child's nature, and that is why we find some failing to get any response even after calling on him for millions of births, while someone else whom we regard as a sinful or penitent man or a disbeliever would have illumination in a flash. Child's nature. Suppose the child has a toy. You ask, hey, give me the toy, give me the toy. Or unwillingly, sometimes you did not ask, hey, you check this toy. Like that. Child's nature. Very whimsical. On the latter, Lord Paras lavishes his grace quite unsolicited. You may argue that this man had good merits stored up from previous life, but the mystery is really difficult to understand. Sri Ramakrishna used to say sometimes, to rely on him. Be like the dry leaf at the mercy of the wind. And again, he would say the wind of grace is always blowing. What you need to do is to unfurl your sail. Do you know what is that? Two things, divine grace and self-effort. That he is talking about here. Divine grace. Divine grace, here you must say self-surrender. But as we have seen, in the fall, you will find this whole Skinker Boulevard. All the leaves fall and the wind blows the leaves this direction, that direction. I see leaves have no power to stand in one place. It is by the grace of wind they move. Jhode ura shukno pata. Dry leaves is blown by the gale, by the wind. Whatever direction it takes, it goes to that direction. Next he says, the wind is blowing, but if you want to go your destination quickly, unfurl the sail. Then the wind will hit the sail and will take you to destination quickly. And last February I went to the Pacific Ocean. An actress died, so I had to drop her ashes and relics into the Pacific Ocean. So they got a boat with 4 people are there. The boatman, and they have a fancy boat. and 2%. Then when he went to the ocean, several hundred feet, but quite a distance in the ocean, we went inside, then he stopped the engine. Swami, let me unfurl the sail, let it move. His uncle is an Italian. Unfurled the sail, we are enjoying nearly an hour on the Pacific Ocean. Unfurled the sail. Beautiful. Disciple, but sir, this is most tremendous statement. No reasoning I seek and stand here. Grace has no reasoning. On whom it will dawn, nobody knows. Sometimes I feel, it says, you people came here, it is the grace. It is the Lord's grace that brought you here today. It reminded me of a story of one of my friends. We are monks. And our bookshop, Advaita Ashram bookshop, was open 8 to 12 and 3 to 6. 8 to 12. So after lunch at 1:30, 2 o'clock, a young man came to buy a book. So the person who was in charge of the bookshop, he said, our office is closed, you come at 3 o'clock. After 3 o'clock, we will get the book. That young man left. And the head Swami told this young monk, you could not sell the book to that person? Perhaps that money he was trying to buy a book on Swamiji, he will spend that money, he will go to a movie house and watch the movie. That person has a desire. For the reason he came to the monastery to buy a book, and you just said that come at 3 o'clock. You could not give that book to this person. You see, in our human lives, when some opportunity comes, you must avail. And we must help. Swamiji, all reasoning and arguing is within the limit of the realm of Maya. It lies within the categories of space, time, and causation. But he is beyond these categories. We speak of his law, still he is beyond all law. He creates or becomes all that we speak of as laws of nature, and yet he is outside of them all. He on whom his grace descends in a moment goes beyond all law. For this reason, there is no condition in grace. It is as his play or sport. All this creation of the universe is like his play. Lokavattu lila kaivallam. It is the pure delight of sport, as in the case of men. It is not possible for him who creates and destroys the universe as if in play to grant salvation by grace to the greatest sinner. But then it is just his pleasure, his play, to get somebody through the practice of spiritual discipline and somebody else without it. Law of nature, law of karma. If you do good, you will be happy. If you do bad, you will be unhappy, miserable. That is the law of karma. I am a judge. You made a mistake. I am thinking, I shall give him 20 years prison. Then decided at home that I shall give that fellow 20 years. Then a little compassion came. He has wife, children. 20 years, this man will be in jail. Then I again reviewed his case and both sides. All right, 7 years. I am the judge. I have a power to reduce his jail term. Similarly, karma. God can reduce your karma. If you depend on Him, you pray to Him, you surrender to Him. This person surrendered to Him and praying so much. By ignorance, he made a big mistake. And now he is repentant. On the spur of the moment, he made a lot of mistakes. So, but the way he is crying and praying, my wife, my children will suffer, Lord, please. So out of mercy, He can reduce your jail term. So God has the power to reduce our karma. When we have aches and pain, oof, Lord, even pray, He can reduce it. That is the way I look at life, He can do anything. That Sri Ramakrishna says, Ami karma nasha, Ami forest janga. I am the destroyer of action, and I am the French colony. If you make any big mistakes in the British India, if you take shelter in French India, British cannot do anything to you. So you do all wrong things and come and take shelter in me. That Sri Ramakrishna one day scolded Mathur. There was a gang fight. Mathur wanted to occupy their property, so he ordered, hit! So somebody was murdered. And bas, court case came and Mathur was supposed to go to jail. Mathur ran to Dakshineshwar, Father, please save my life. Thakur scolded, you rascal, you will do all sorts of things and now you are seeking help, man. Father, I'll have to go to jail. I shall not be able to serve you. Please save, protect me. It is a murder case. Sri Ramakrishna says, all right, by the grace of the Mother, you will be saved. That really it works. We had a Swami, I read a very good, he's a great monk, Nora Brahman. He says God is very compassionate. Suppose you make a big mistake and he has some terrible disease or arthritis or whatever, some kind of disease or pain. So God gives the pain on installment basis. 5-6 days you suffer, then again for 2-3 months you are okay, again 4-5 days you suffer, again you will be all right. So on installment basis, he will reduce he will take away your karma. He will not give you constant, that you whole term you will have to. Suppose you are jailed in 1 month, and then after 3 months, again another month in this way. It is all in the hands of the judge. God can do anything He likes. He is beyond law. He is the maker of the law. He can change law. It happened. Swamiji's secretary, after the lecture, he was taking some collection. So some people made a comment in America. Made a comment. He talked about renunciation, he does not touch money, but his secretary takes collection. What is this? The secretary informed Swamiji. Swamiji said, he said, Madam, if the rule does not suit me, I change them. I change the rule. If the rule does not suit me, I change them. Swami, you are so funny. Look about to Lila Govinda. I shall talk about it perhaps in my next class. When a king plays the dice with his fellows, friends, no motive, just a pastime, playing dice, So God's creation, this is playing all these human beings like a dice. Somebody, he will make you high. If you are too egotistic, he will put you down. You will be high. You go down, down. It is all play of egos. Always remember, pride must have a fall. That is the English proverb I memorized. If you are egotistic, you will fall. Be humble. Then grace will come. He makes the sinner saint, he makes the saint sinner. The saint is thinking, I am a saint. Any moment he can fall. Never be proud. I did it. As G.R. Ravi used to say, a saint has his past, as a sinner has his future. That's a great saying of G.R. Ravi, or Ann Landers, I don't remember. She used to say, today's saint, today's sinner would be a saint tomorrow. And this saint has his own past. Before that, how many bad things he did, now he has become a saint. Anyhow, it is a mysterious, I believe, law of karma, which is all karma. Up to this tonight. 59. Very interesting. I saw my last class, my hand was many times like this, and I did not like it. I'm glad that I was. Shiva, when I in Hollywood in one class, I just came, just new. I saw American people quite often say, you know. So in my one class, I told 52 times, you know. Then Shiva came, Swami, you said 52 times, you know, I counted it. I'm going to Shiva, in my next class, no, you know. I was trying to join some Americans, their colloquialism, you know. You know. Oh, I had one boy, his name was Jim Gates. His father was an English teacher. He said, he went to his father, Father, you know. I do not know. Americans, some kind of colloquial expressions. All right, thank you. Good night.